This is how cold it is. Eclipse season always brings changes, whether it's internal changes or external ones. You can't avoid that. The eclipse, like the one moon that you do not have co-collaboration with, is eclipse season. You can really see how cold it is because I feel like I can see my breath out. So you definitely can. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katerina. If you are new here, then thank you for clicking on this video. If you like this video by the end of it, then please feel free to like and subscribe. It just helps me figure out what you guys like, what words hit deeply and what words you want me to speak more of. It just really helps me figure that out. I have a workbook down below that has a deep understanding of Saturn in astrology and mythology, helps you assign different archetypes, feminine, to Saturn. I go through every single house with Saturn in that house and explain what the lesson is through lived experience. And I also have the Saturn in the signs, a little bit about the information, because the signs are kind of the flavour of the planet. It's not as much as of the lesson part. And then I have a full section dedicated to Saturn ruled people, Capricorn and Aquarius rising. You are ruled by Saturn, and that is something we deeply really need to understand in order to stop fighting ourselves and stop living in a feeling of lack or a feeling of misunderstood or a feeling that you'll never get there, disheartened feeling. We really need to work on that if Saturn is your chart ruler. So if you're interested in that workbook, then that is below. I wanted to speak about eclipse season and how you cannot control it. You just can't. And if you try, honestly, it probably will get a bit more chaotic internally or externally, depending on what the eclipse season is trying to teach you. If you feel like, things are leaving you, whether it be a job, a person, whether it be a hard time with family or your children, there's a lesson in everything. And eclipse season, like the universe as a whole, only works for you, but eclipse season is just trying to push you to your north node, to your north star, to your destiny. That those eclipse seasons can bring endings, can bring beginnings. They can bring opportunities, but they can also release ones that aren't aligned for you. And the reason I thought about this is because I think through life experiences and through people around me, I see sometimes them holding on to things that aren't meant to be held on to anymore. And it's from a trauma response, and I understand that. And you've just got to let them navigate it the way that they feel safe to. But the reason your life may be more chaotic than it normally was is because you're fighting to keep control of everything. So if this is a lesson with work or something, you might have opportunities sent your way, but because they're not as comfortable and as predictable as your job before, the one that you have, you turn down those opportunities. It could honestly be rooted in fear, but externally you'll be like, oh, it was the smarter decision. It was the right decision to do that. But what happens is you have a hole in you. the more and more you do that. An emptiness of like, why don't I feel fulfilled? We often have those moments in anything. In friendships, we hold on to friendships for too long. Relationships definitely hold on for those too long, especially me. But we do those things, and then the eclipse season takes over. And sometimes that's like literally losing your job because you weren't listening to the other messages before. This could be so simple as you've heard someone say one particular phrase that you really want to do, that you've been thinking about doing. Let's just say it's real estate or something. I don't know if that's a good option, but you've heard 3 different people, like completely separate, mention something about real estate, whether it's like they watched a video, or someone said you'd be quite good at real estate, or someone said, oh, I found this course to, join a real estate company, or whatever it is. You've just heard those things in a small amount of time. That is genuinely the universe giving you opportunities, giving you seeds to grow. And we don't listen to that. And I know, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, you should just push forward. We know, like, we need financial safety in this world. We need things like that. But often, anyone who has started something started from a leap of faith. And that's all you can go on. Everything is a leap of faith at the end of the day. I think I said this in another video last year, but like, as basic as you choosing a different coffee brand is a leap of faith. Like, you either make a bad decision or you don't. I feel like it's really important to know that if you keep fighting, it just will continue. I've been there. I just kept fighting it. I kept going for the wrong jobs. I kept trying to be sensible, trying to do what other people wanted from me. And it was like a slow unveiling of everything. But I went from like love to absolutely no love. I went from, surrounded by friends to nothing. I went from having like drips and drabs of money, little bits here and there, to nothing. I went from a full-time job to losing it. I went from a social media account that was making me money to nothing. And I wasn't listening. So the universe, Saturn, whoever is your chart ruler, literally just took everything away from me for me to sit here with absolutely nothing. And I'm not saying that to be ungrateful. I had a roof, like, I was very lucky, but I had nothing in terms of, I had no friendships, I had no love, I had no job, I had no idea what I was doing with my life. I had no path. I was ill. I had no health. And I was left with my hands empty. And I don't want that for anyone. We all have our own life path, and we've all got to start our own journey. But if I can give you advice, why wouldn't I? And my advice is like, you just got to stop fighting it. You've just got to stop fighting it. This doesn't mean you give up. This just means you follow the knowing. You follow the inner knowing. Oh, someone has said real estate to me 3 times this week, and I did think I wanted to work in development. Maybe I should look into that. That's inner knowing. My body keeps Like my lower back keeps hurting every time, and I go to the gym and it just gets worse. I feel like I need to work on like my deep core, and I need to do something a bit slower, and I need to see a physio. That's inner knowing. If you keep carrying on with your job, or if you keep pushing in the gym even though your body is trying to tell you it's not okay, you'll just be stripped of a lot until you realize like the lesson, until you realize like actually what the universe is trying to tell you. And eclipse season just speeds things up a little bit if you've been fighting it. You know, last eclipse season was pretty amazing in terms of internal stuff, but external, it didn't really do like, nothing kind of left my life or anything like crazy like that. And I think it's because I like didn't have anything that was that I knew deep down that I should have gotten rid of. I think I had addressed that before, throughout the year and the year before that, that I knew that the only things that were blocking me were like subconscious blocks, inner things that I needed to understand deeply. And honestly, it was the most like unveiling month that I've ever had. I just uncovered so many blocks through that space, through that eclipse season. More and more came out of my mouth that I've never said before. I've thought, I've never said out loud. There's some things that are like so deeply ingrained in you that you just don't want to say them out for fear. And those are the things that can be like internal eclipse shifts, is the things that you really fear, the things that you really don't want to say out loud. Those could be what comes about during eclipse season. And this year is the last year of Pisces North Node transit. So if you have Pisces natally, and if you have your North Node natally in Pisces, that means you've had your nodal return, which happens around 36 years old, and then 18 years before that. Every 18 years is your nodal return. So if you were like 18, is that right? 20, here we go, girl math again. Yeah, 38, yeah, 18. So around like 17, 18, 19. Let's just go for 18 because it's easier. So 18 years old and then 36 years old. Those would be your nodal return. So if you have got a Pisces North Node and you are 36, or whatever age you are, if you've got a Pisces North Node, you are going through your nodal return right now. But it's just because I'm 36 and I'm about to enter my nodal return. This is the final test. This eclipse season and the next eclipse season, but we're transitioning into, we're getting a glimpse of the Aquarius North Node journey through these eclipses this year. This is the shifting. Next year will fully be Aquarius North Node. If there are any things that you feel like you're not doing and you're not trying to, like wherever the North Node is in your chart, really understand, like really try and get deeply this year, just in case there's anything that you are not actually facing. The nodal return is like a big shift of your life path. And if you fight it, I'm not saying like the next 18 years will be chaos, but it could be. It could be things that aren't aligned, that things that are not keeping you fulfilled. You know, I know people who really didn't listen to their nodal return journey and they just keep pushing through. They keep going. But you can tell that they need to sit for a moment and ask the questions. but the fear of losing control pains them more, like that scares them so much, which I understand. But everything is a leap of faith. There's a reason why the nodes like send you in a direction. That could be as simple as like, your life path is that way, in that career or something. Or it might be that the universe knows your husband is in that new job, or someone's going to introduce you to your husband through that new job. You know what I mean? Like, it could be an abundance of reasons or things that the universe is trying to get for you. But if you keep fighting it for fear of losing, or for fear of everything crumbling around you, I'm not doing this to be dramatic, it's just I've been there. It ends up crumbling around you. A personal story is like my first nodal return, I was 18 years old. I got ill at 18 years old and I didn't listen. And I continued to push through. I continued to, not rely on others. I continued to really be like, it was like a mix of feelings between like, I can't do anything, I have to rely on others, but I don't want to rely on others because they'll judge me because I was so ill. And now I am here entering my next nodal return, and I have learned everything. So, yes, I could say, what I said before about chaos things. And yes, I did genuinely have that. My whole 20s was full of chaos. I, was so ill, was constantly trying to earn money because I couldn't do anything. I was in a relationship that was so manipulative and stayed, and then it all blew up in my face during my Saturn return. And I had to start again from scratch with nothing. And I didn't listen to that. I kept trying to push through and do things that aren't aligned because I thought once I make enough money, then I can focus on other things. Then I can focus on like, what I might want to do after that. But the thing that I want to do is the thing that will make me money. The thing that I'm trying to push through is just making me ill. And that was evidence. Like every time I went and got a new job, I'd come back and I'd be ill. I'd be literally in bed every weekend trying to figure out like how I can do the next week. I just was trying to see, I was basically trying to just hope. I was hoping that things would get better, but I wasn't actually listening. And now here I am about to go into my nodal return. And I'm like, okay, we've got this. Like, yourself enough now, your intuition enough to like, when something feels like it's intense or it's chaotic or when something feels like it's not aligned, you let go. Because you know that it will get more intense if you don't. But if you do have a Pisces North Node again, this year is your final lesson for that. This year is the conclusion of what the past 18 months have been like and what you have learnt through that process. So just take a little bit of time, take an evening, take a week if you want, and just really kind of process what you have learnt and what came up for you and what you think you've still got to work on. Because if you're watching this channel, if you are subscribed or you're just watching this video, you do want to feel more alignment and more fulfillment in your life. You wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't give a shit. So I'm not speaking to the everyday person. I'm speaking to someone who's a bit tired a bit confused, maybe lost, maybe stuck in that liminal space. So I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you because I've literally been there. I have been in that liminal space. I have been stuck. I have not listened. And if I could just help people kind of not go through what I went through, I feel like that would be a really great thing. And that's what we do at the end of the day. You know, we all teach people through our own lessons. You wouldn't go to a mentor if they haven't struggled in their life, if everything's been given to them. You'd go to someone who hit rock bottom and climbed up the mountain, you know? Anyway, I hope this didn't go off too tangent, but I just felt like chatting about kind of when your life's a bit chaotic and, you know, the eclipse season. We're in the eclipse season, you know. The eclipse seasons are literally trying to get you to your destiny. Eclipse seasons, like the nodes are normally near the eclipse season because of this shift this year, the nodes are a bit they're obviously still in Pisces. The solar eclipse in Aquarius isn't it obviously Aquarius, so they're a bit further apart. So this is like the shift, and then next year we go into the collective shift, the Aquarius North Node, my nodal return. We go through that process of like taking your individual self and bringing that into the collective. I feel like it's going to be a big nodal shift, and we'll get a good idea, like a glimpse of what it's going to be like this year. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in understanding your Saturn placement and your Capricorn rising or Aquarius rising, or you've just got Saturn either surrounded by a lot of planets in a certain house, or you've got Saturn in a certain house where you feel like it's taking a really long time to build, or you might feel like it's a bit chaotic, then my workbook is down below. It really helps you understand Saturn as a whole and Saturn within every house and every sign. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.